it's almost time for Thanksgiving, one of my personal favorite holidays. We're all familiar with the classic story of Native Americans dining with pilgrims, but our modern Thanksgiving has deeper pagan roots than you might be aware of. So let's dig into the history of this holiday and reveal some surprising pagan elements. In America, it's believed that the first Thanksgiving took place in 1621, but this is not the first time people gathered to give thanks for the autumn harvest. In fact, people have been celebrating the autumn harvest for millennia, and our Thanksgiving is just a modern incarnation of these ancient celebrations of autumn abundance. Now, most of our holidays, like Christmas and Easter, are a combination of both pagan and Christian traditions. Thanksgiving, on the other hand, doesn't have as much of a Christian influence. While Thanksgiving is not tied to any one specific religion, its traditions are quite similar to a number of ancient pagan harvest celebrations. For example, in ancient Rome, they celebrated the holiday of Cerealia, which honored the harvest goddess of grain, Ceres. Now, there are about 100 different harvest gods and goddesses from Greek and Roman culture, so it's pretty clear that celebrating the harvest was a key feature of their spiritual beliefs. Harvest celebrations were also vitally important during Celtic and Anglo-Saxon pagan times. In Britain, these traditions evolved into a holiday called Harvest Home. Historically, the date of Harvest Home differed each year as it was celebrated when all of the autumn crops were finally harvested. The final cartload of food was paraded through the town, and a big harvest supper was celebrated among the villagers. Apparently, these harvest suppers started to get a bit out of hand, and in 1867, they were described as unrestrained riot and excess. In addition to Harvest Home, a separate religious holiday called the Days of Thanksgivings was practiced in the Church of England, in which people set aside one religious day of their choosing to give thanks to God. So we get the name Thanksgiving from this Christian tradition, while the feasting we associate with Thanksgiving largely derives from the Harvest Home celebrations. Luckily for us Americans, our harvest Thanksgiving celebrations were never commandeered by the church, and as such, they remain pretty pagan to this day. Here in America, a lot of our imagery around Thanksgiving shows a shared meal between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. It could definitely be said that this rosy view of our first Thanksgiving meal together is largely misleading and helps to obscure the many atrocities that the colonists committed upon the Native Americans. The Native Americans, like the ancient pagan peoples of Europe, understood the importance of honoring and respecting the harvest. And during the first American Thanksgiving that took place in 1621, the Native Americans paused to give thanks to the many spirits and deities that aided in the bountiful harvest. There are three key symbols that are common to Thanksgiving celebrations. You have the cornucopia, also known as the Horn of Plenty, the turkey, and corn. All these symbols were viewed as very important among pagan societies. Let's begin with the cornucopia, which was an important symbol in ancient Greece and Rome. A cornucopia is a horned-shaped basket that is commonly filled with harvest fruits and vegetables. This symbol goes back to a story from ancient Greece where a goat pulled off his horn and offered it to the god Zeus. This was a magic horn that would refill indefinitely with food and drink, ensuring Zeus would never go hungry. To give thanks to the goat, Zeus made the goat's image in the sky, which became the constellation we now know as Capricorn. The cornucopia was also incorporated in statues and money across ancient Rome, and was often used in representations of the goddess of grain, Ceres, and the goddess of luck, Fortuna. The cornucopia has even made an appearance in American currency. After all, the cultural identity of America is largely inspired by Greek and Roman culture and their systems of government. The next symbol I want to mention is the turkey, which is the centerpiece of the American Thanksgiving meal. Many Native American tribes view the turkey as a symbol of fertility and abundance. As a totem animal, turkey reminds us of the importance of our relationship with the land, as the land is the source of our nourishment and sustenance. Turkey feathers are also viewed as especially important and are used in ritual wear and in smudging ceremonies. So when we eat turkey at Thanksgiving, we are kind of celebrating the connection we have with the sacred land and animal spirits. Lastly, corn is often used as a symbol to represent Thanksgiving. Corn, also called maize, was a key staple among the Native Americans, and it played an important role in their spiritual beliefs as well. In some tribes, corn itself was seen as a spirit, and it often played a role in ceremonies. Historically, it is also believed that the Native Americans taught the Pilgrims how to grow and harvest corn, and without that knowledge, they would have probably never survived the harsh winters. One last thing comes to mind when I consider our modern Thanksgiving Day celebrations, and that is football. So why would something like football be connected to a harvest meal? Well, Celtic pagan harvest festivals usually included some type of sport or competition. For example, during the harvest festival called Lughnasadh, people would participate in the Celtian games, which included sports like archery, wrestling, and chariot racing. Another famous Celtic pagan harvest festival is Samhain, which historically was a time to gather the whole tribe together for feasting and athletic competition. So today in America, like the ancient Celts, we enjoy watching sports along with our harvest feast. Often they say history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, and that's how I view our modern American Thanksgiving traditions. Thanksgiving touches something deep in our subconscious, a desire to celebrate the abundance of nature with our community before the long winter begins. I think our American Thanksgiving is a way to subtly tap back into how the harvest was once celebrated during pagan times. A time when we honor the spirits of the land by being with family, feasting gratuitously, and watching large men pummel each other for our entertainment. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you did, definitely hit the like button and also leave a comment down below on what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is. I will see you guys next week. Bye!